There's that sparkly thing. The way they handled doing this event feels kind of weird. It just feels a little clunky to me. But I mean, hey, whatever. So, right down in the dialogue, most of this, when you go through it as Remilia, is pretty much exactly the same. So, we're just going to skip to all the things that are unique to Remilia's run. So obviously, when you play as Remilia, you're not going to go fight Remilia, because we were playing as Remilia doing other things. So instead, we're going to fight Sakuya. It's like Remilia before her. When you fight Sakuya as a boss, she'll do most of the same stuff she does when you use her as a player. There's Blood Moon, and she's already used Cleaning Maid a couple times. Of course, you know, a lot of the things she uses as a boss are going to be a little bit beefier than the things you can do with her as a player. Not that it really matters, because we're playing as Flan, so, you know, we can make quick work of her pretty easily. Also, she was about to use a spell there, but I think I broke it. I'm not sure what spell she was going to use, but if she's anything like Remilia, she's going to use the same spell multiple times. So if I get her to a point where she's going to want to use it again, we'll get to see what it is. There's a nice spell. We can also use that spell as Sakuya if you choose to play as her. Just like Remilia. So, instead of Flowering Night or Lunadial or something like that, the boss theme for fighting Sakuya as Flan is Flan's theme. I don't know why, but I have an idea. I think it's because before this game was technically completed, so before this game had an extra stage, the soundtrack was already made. So, aside from all the other tracks in the game, there were 2 tracks that didn't show up in the original version of the game before Extra Stage was patched, and that was the Extra Stage theme and Flan's theme. So, there wasn't any Sakuya theme or any spare Remilia theme for fighting Remilia. There's no patchy theme, which would really fit with these boss fights, but I guess they couldn't really do it because they already had the soundtrack, and they'd have to go to the circle that made the soundtrack to have them make new tracks, which probably wouldn't have been very economical, considering that they'd already released the soundtrack and everything, because you were able to get the soundtrack soon after this game was released. Also, I'm showing this patchy fight because even though it's the same thing, she does a couple of different things during this fight. She uses one other spell card that I think we've only seen one other time if we haven't seen it at all by now. But yeah, that's the only other thing. I just kind of wish that, you know, these boss fights weren't all Flandre's theme. I mean, it's not a bad arrangement. It just seems kind of weird to have the same theme for 5 boss fights. Well, if you count Patchy as only 1, it's 4. So our reward for doing this as Remilia is the same as our reward for doing this as Sakuya, and that reward is higher numbers